The Lumix S5 is a camera that many people, myself included, overlooked when it initially came out. But I've been convinced it's actually an amazing time to buy one, and here are a few of my reasons. Now, the first thing about the Lumix S5 that won me over was the price. I had my Fujifilm X-S10, which was an amazing little camera, but for professional shoots, it was just getting in my way, and I was missing my GH5 for its sheer usability. Anyways, I picked up this camera used on eBay with the amazing 20 to 60 kit lands for around $1,700. And on this channel, because I'm not some rich YouTube filmmaker dude bro, I was looking for a camera that was in the $1,500 to $1,800 price range that would serve my needs best, since I don't have $3,500 to shell out for something like a Sony A7S III like every other YouTuber seems to. So I don't know how that works, but I don't have that kind of money. Now, when comparing anything else in that particular price range, I was looking at things like the Sony A7 III, the Lumix S1, the GH5S, the Blackmagic 6K, and the X-T4. All of these amazing cameras, to me, they just fell short when it came to the value you get for my personal shooting style. For instance, the A7 III didn't have a solid log profile plus record limits. The S1 was more expensive for similar features. The GH5S and the Blackmagic didn't have IBIS, and the X-T4 had overheating and record limits. It wouldn't have been terrible in hindsight going back to the GH5, but I personally wanted an upgrade that would last me a few years, as I like to say on this channel, but typically only lasts like 6 months. And for me, Micro Four Thirds was and still is an amazing option, but not super compelling, at least to me, for a main camera looking on into the future. Also, an honorable mention would be the A7 IV, which I was waiting to be released before I chose the S5, just to see if Sony would personally win my heart over, but it ended up retailing for like $2,500, and to me, its selling point over the S5 would be autofocus, plus the A7 IV crops in 4K 60 just like the S5, which was too bad for Sony, but good for Panasonic, because to me, other than autofocus, if the A7 IV didn't crop in 4K 60, I think it would have been, the value proposition would have been a little bit better for the A7 IV. So all that aside, to me the S5 didn't compromise for a camera in $1,500 to $2,000 price range. In the short term, it had everything I loved about my GH5 for a few hundred extra, and in the long term, the professional video features would allow me to expand and grow with this camera. Just think, the S5 has the same sensor as the Netflix approved S1H for $1,500. That is an insane value, not only within Panasonic, but against all other brands as well. So to me, the cost benefit favors the S5 over many other even more expensive options. Now, the second reason I bought the Panasonic S5, as I alluded to earlier, was image quality, particularly the 10-bit codecs in log on that Netflix approved sensor that make for an incredible looking image. Recently, I started using log consistently, and I really have a hard time going back. Once you shoot a sunset backlit video in log versus something like a natural profile with a slightly flattened curve, you will be blown away with how smooth the highlights look and the dynamic range that you're able to keep and recover if needed. And all technicals aside, the image is just a step up from something like the GH5, and especially the G85. It just looks so much better than either of those cameras. Now, the only drawback when shooting 10-bit is you do get record limits in 4K. So for my event videos, I usually just switch to 4K 8-bit and just shoot in a flatter natural profile to remove those record limits. So that is a bit of a drawback, but in my opinion, the S5, with all of its full frame, full vlog glory, just looks incredible and has the image quality of cameras double or even triple its price. The third reason I got the S5 was simply for the fact that it's full frame. Yes, I could get everything I wanted to get done with my GH5. It was, and still is, an amazing workhorse of a camera, but I wanted full frame is what really it came down to. And to me, having a full frame sensor gives you options. If you don't want to shoot full frame, you don't have to with APS-C crop mode. So if you have APS-C lenses like the Sigma 18 to 35, or a lot of my viewers have the Sigma 17 to 50 as a budget option, and you want to upgrade into full frame glass later on, you can pretty much at your leisure. One thing to note about that APS-C mode, which is one issue with the S5, is that 4K 60 forces you into that APS-C crop mode. So it's not full frame readout 4K 60. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you need full frame 4K 60, but good luck finding anything filming full width at this price point. And just to add some controversy, I believe there really is something about that full frame look that I still can't put my finger on. It could be that 50 millimeters truly is 50 millimeters, or that you can have such nice beautiful bokeh subject separation at lower apertures, but whatever it is, I just think it looks better than APS-C or Micro Four Thirds just from a subjective gut standpoint. And full frame sensors are just capable of more. Better low light, better bokeh, lens options, the list goes on. At this point, the only thing holding full frame back is developing one, IBIS that's better than Micro Four Thirds, and two, keeping overheating at bay, which isn't an issue with the S5, but is an issue with some of Canon's pro full frame video offerings. With all that said, do you think everyone should pick up an S5? Let's start a conversation below, and I'd love to learn your thoughts on this. Thank you guys so much for watching.